Today I'm going to do a little video around repairs and servicing and how to set it up, how to get it running and how to make it happen. Now, these videos are spread. This is your setup video for your repairs. There are 3 other videos to watch about creating a repair, using it on the tablet and completing a repair. But this is your setup phase. If you get this right, all the others are really easy, really simple. All right, a couple of concepts to wrap your head around. And the first is that when you talk about a repair and service, you have a customer equipment list, but you also have fixed assets list. Now, these are identical. The difference is a fixed asset you own, whereas a custom equipment, logically, is owned by the customer. But the data is identical in both, except for one simple thing. When you go to a fixed asset and look at the actual card, the major difference is all the tabs are identical except these depreciation tabs. These 2 options are for tax value and book value for the asset that you own as a company. So if you own the asset, you would treat on the fixed asset, you would deal with the depreciation 1 and 2. Whereas on a customer equipment card, it's identical, but they just don't have the depreciation tabs. That's the diff. So everything else is identical on that front. So we primarily set up all our options that we're looking for under the fixed asset first. And whether we choose to use depreciation or not, it will flow from there. So to create a fixed asset, we simply come into our drop down and hit new fixed asset. But before that, you need to create a few templates or defaults that will load whenever you deal with a fixed asset or a customer equipment. In other words, what service options are you going to do? Every 6 months do you go out and do a service check on it? Is there faults? What products do you typically use? So what we will do is, the first thing we create is under our fixed asset, we create a new service option. Now here's a few I've done already. And these can be simply, what do I do at a 6-month service? Or what do I do in a 250-hour service? And it might be, check the air filter. So create a bunch of these that you're going to typically use whenever you work with a piece of equipment, whatever it may be. You can see a few examples I've got here, but pick something, add something, create stuff that you would typically use every time you do a 6, 12, 18-month service or a 500-hour, whatever you do, you create service options. All right. Once you have your service options, the next thing is then define how often do we do a service. Is it every 6 months, number of hours, all those sorts of things. And to do that, we come down to the service period options. So we need to add service periods. Now the default will load, and in this case, I have 6, 12, 18 and 24 month service options that I do to every machine. So every 6 months, I service this machine. You can track it by hours, or you can track it by distance. So there's a number of different ways of doing that, but create a series of service options that you achieve and do. And then under the 6-month one, you'll drill into it. And these are the services you're going to do. So check the air filter, battery, all these sorts of things is what you typically do on a 6-month service. You then have different ones under your 12-month service. These can be different, and so on. So go through and create what we call service option periods and apply what services you do in that period. Okay. Next step. Under your fixed assets again, you have this fixed asset type, this one here. Now, This is a great way of grouping asset types and automatically applying those service periods and service options to them. So for example, here I'm looking at some forklifts. My 1.2 ton forklift, I can set a default percentage for each of these. So what are my default services that I do under my 6, 12, 18 months? What are the typical faults I find with a 1.2 ton forklift? And what products do I typically use to repair that? So the fixed asset type is a great way of auto-loading all of these every time you create a fixed asset. So what I mean by that is, if I go back and when I'm going to make a new fixed asset, which is here, and I'll just choose the list. When I look at any fixed asset, I simply select this asset type, this one. By simply selecting the 1.2 ton, it now automatically loads all my services, my service periods, fills it all in for me automatically, like so. Fills all those in. Now, obviously I can adjust it for this individual piece of equipment, but by choosing that fixed asset type, this field here, it automatically loaded all the defaults for you. You didn't have to do that individually. So setting up your fixed asset type is a really important way of automating the process of filling these fields in. Now, don't forget, on your fixed asset fields, you've got a whole bunch of custom fields you can add, or you can simply copy this and it'll fill in everything except the asset code. This is the key. So you can either manually create the fixed asset, then select the fixed asset type and it'll load all the background, or copy from another one and load it that way there. Okay, let's go to the next one. So the next piece you're going to need, you need to set up under your repairs and servicing. Some of the charts and graphs and all that sort of stuff will load automatically, but you need to have what we call a pipeline. And by pipeline it says what's the status of that repair. Where is it at? It's a new inquiry, it's come in, it's awaiting price, parts. These are all drag and droppable. You can move these around as the status on that repair changes, but you need to create a set of repairs, of repair statuses, this one, that you work with, that you're comfortable work with. So make up your own. Again, VS1 will come with a bunch of defaults, but create your own. The idea is that you can easily, back on your main page here, look at the statuses you've made and where every job is at. It also beautifully feeds through to your calendar. You can see where that's going, and your Gantt chart. It all feeds through beautifully to that. So keep in mind, you ideally need, for your pipelines, you need your statuses created. All right, lucky last. Again, when I look at any sort of repair or service that I'm going to work on, you need to set up under the employee list, this one. When you look at the employee card, so this is the employee card here, you come to this appointment settings structure, this one, and you set their default booking time. So in other words, the minimum charge we have is for 2 hours. And you must set the default labor cost for that 2 hours. These are products. So this is a product that we can create. And again, remember with your drop downs, if you click on the arrow, it'll open the list. The X will obviously remove this, or clicking on the word itself will open the product card that it's related to, like so. Now, typically, when you do service labor, it's an other type of product. Service labor by default, this will be there as a default, and then you put in the rate that you charge per hour for that employee. You set that up for that employee, and each employee can have a different product if you want, but all you can do is an overall. That service labor based on the 2-hour charge, will auto load to when we do the settings. All right, let me go back. So once you've got those 5 things set up, you're good to go, because remember, when you're looking at an appointment, if you look at all these appointment calendars, everything, they will load by default for the 2 hours, and it automatically loads in the labor charge for this particular employee and whatever they're going to be doing. All right. The equipment associated with all of that, when I come back to the fixed asset equipment list, this one, again, by loading this field, I'm loading all my services automatically, and they will appear here like so. I also need to ensure that down the bottom, when I'm looking at the main card, if I come down, you need to turn on that this asset is used in repairs and servicing, and if you use it in hire, you would tick this option on here. So there, this is your main setup steps for doing your repairs and servicing. Now, once you've got those in place, everything else becomes easier. So, next steps. Jump into the next video, which is a new repair, or go back on this video, hit pause where you need to, and re-watch it so you understand how to set something up. A great idea is do the step 1, pause the video, create the item, go to the next one, and so on. Hope that made sense.